What's going on? Episode 19 of In the AM with MC. You can feel my electricity through the screen. I'm so happy to be back. We haven't done an episode in too long, but we've been living a lot of real life in real time. And I just want to take a moment right now to shout out everybody that has been a part of my life for the past couple weeks, to be fully honest. It's just been an amazing couple of weeks. Um, from a life experiencing perspective, that's not to say everything's been dandy and everything's been good. Everything has not been good news. Everything has not been positive, 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 but it's just been a beautiful, like cyclical life experience that I've been having over these past couple weeks and months, honestly. And everybody that's been a part of it, shout out to y'all because y'all made that possible. You guys gave me grace, beat me up when it was time to beat me up. Over everybody that I know keeps it honest with me, and I appreciate that. That allows me to keep it honest back with other people. I don't like to lie, and I don't think anybody, even liars, don't like to lie. Let's be honest, and I think we got sports to talk, folks. We have not been on here since the NFL draft, essentially, which was like, I want to say the last couple weeks, maybe like the last week of April. Now, as you know, I did do a mock draft, and I'm proud to report that I had five or six picks exactly correct. None of my trades materialized. I made some ambitious trades. I had some reaches. I had some guys who I picked kind of high. Some of those guys also got picked high. Some of those guys got picked higher. I mean, the NFL draft is just always so unpredictable. But what really, really does bother me is the amount of people who go undrafted because it's at the point now where, it's so many dudes who will just never play the sport again. Some of them might go to the AFL, UFL, CFL, what have you, but it's just so many guys who will never play the sport again. Um, that's something that we have also going on right now in the WNBA. I'm already getting into a lot of the topics, but like the WNBA, Aaliyah Boston's draft was what, 23? There have been in her draft only four or five of the players out of the 12 in the first round are still active players. Like forget, oh, I'm on the team that drafted me. We're talking about active players. Like these women are being cut, and some of them will never play the sport that they grew up loving ever again. And it's just so sad and tragic and avoidable. But I'm not a commissioner. Welcome back to All Sports All the Time on In the AM with MC. We have not had a guest yet. This is the 19th episode, but hopefully we'll get one on here soon. I was going to record right after the draft and basically talk about the playoffs, give like some pictures and previews. But let's just talk about what's happened. Where we're sitting right now on May 15th at 6:32 p.m. Central Time. Where we're sitting right now is that there are multiple teams vying for spots to play, two teams that have already set their spots in their respective championships. So the Indiana Pacers have already set their spot in the championship, and they will play either the Knicks or the Celtics. And then on the West Coast, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Denver Nuggets are both fighting for that last spot to play Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's start with the East Coast, Beast Coast. The Pacers, hey, Pacers are underrated. I think, when I used to play NBA 2K on my phone, um, Miles Turner was a guy who I just beat the replay button off of because Miles Turner was the player I would create. I used to create like a whole family. This is an entire thing. All my brothers can attest to this. We used to create like whole families on NBA 2K and we play against each other. It was a whole situation. But my center was always 7'6". He could shoot out the gym. He was basically like a 99 overall and everything. And it was funny because like as the games went on, it was just the lore. It was like, well, that's how that player is. We can't like and my brother Allen, he had his players who he just supercharged up. Edwin had his family, but he didn't go as far. Me and Allen, we sickos. We did like starting five, but just as an excuse to have creative players. Allen would do like four, and Carmelo Anthony, I would do all five, and then Edwin would just do like two. Um, but yeah, Miles Turner, he was the guy like I would create. That's literally who Miles Turner was. And then he just didn't, he didn't play like that player enough for my liking. Like I actually really enjoy watching Miles Turner's game. And I think when he was the favorite to be traded to the Lakers for the past couple seasons, I was like throwing my phone at the TV. Like, why would they not get Miles Turner? At this point, if you're the Lakers, you've had opportunities to get Miles Turner and Walker Kessler, two players who you would easily swap out for Jackson Hayes. But when they got Jackson Hayes, they were like, oh, we got to steal. He's athletic. Man, get that stuff out of here. Um, the Pacers are a defensive nightmare. And so are the Timberwolves. But when you think about the Pacers and you think about their ability to switch action, you think about the length and versatility they have on their team offensively, right? You have obviously Haliburton runs the show. You have Pascal Siakam. You have Andrew Nebhard, who's an incredibly efficient player when he wants to be. I think he led the I think he's leading the playoffs in assist to turnover ratio. It's like 3.1, 3.2. Tough as nails. You got TJ McConnell, a player who was a vet's vet. Um, I mean, Benedict Mathurin. The Pacers are a deep basketball team, but for me, I'm just thinking about this defensively. Like forget what they can do on offense because what Haliburton is able to do when he's not scoring the basketball is distribute the basketball. And what I do like about Haliburton as a guard who can shoot the three is that he never loses sight of the fact that it's a driving kick is the foundation of basketball, in my opinion. Driving and kicking, right? We can always be 3-point shooters, but drive and kick. You know, you take your straight line to the rim, you force them to cut you off, and then you make a favorable decision. And if they don't cut you off, you have a bucket, and it's the easiest bucket in basketball, which is a layup. Or you could just take step back threes all day. But that's just not good basketball. The Pacers absolutely have been dominant in the playoffs so far, and I don't want to say I'm going to eat my words because I didn't doubt them specifically. I just didn't think it would look like this. I legitimately paid a lot of attention on the West, and thought that the Rockets were gonna be still playing basketball, and they're just not because they're goofies. Um, Haliburton is looking really good. They got the Bucks up out of there, and that was a huge story. Because Tyrese Haliburton's father was on, he was at courtside and he confronted Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is about 6'11", 250 of pure muscle. He confronted Giannis. He got all in Giannis's face. He's pointing in Giannis's face. And, you know, Giannis is the kind of player I just haven't figured out yet because his answers in the media always seem really sincere, but they seem sincere to the point of like you have to be in on this. He's clearly profiting off of who he is and stuff like that. But wouldn't it just be so cool if he really just did care that much about winning and just playing basketball? And that's really what like, wouldn't that be cool if that just was the case? And myself and a lot of other people who say he's kind of like faking it a little bit, but just wrong. That'd be great. I just don't know. I don't know. Like the situation with him and the staff member and ladder a couple of years ago. Like that was a bad situation. That left a bad taste in my mouth about Giannis. I was like, I don't like that. That's how this person is representing himself. And it's an insurmountable amount of pressure that they're under on the day to day. Like I don't want to minimize that because it's not something that I experience. Um, and if pressure is the wrong word, then hyper visibility is certainly the right word, right? Um, but Halliburton's dad got all up in Giannis's face, and Giannis did take a lot of angles in his response, but all in all condemned Halliburton's dad because he's like, why are you doing this? You're a fan. You're breaking the code. You're breaking the barrier. And Halliburton agreed with him. I thought that was really adult. I thought that was really adult for the two of them to have those responses in the post game in today's day and age where it's like a rush to be inflammatory. Like, how can I be inflammatory before everybody else? And how can I be inflammatory in a way that allows other people who want to be inflammatory as well to join my side? It's rough seas these days. And so again, I thought it was incredibly adult of the two of them to speak about that because you know that that's the first question they're going to ask you in the press conference, right? And I thought that they both handled it like professionals. I really did. That being said, Giannis is gone. He's out of there. He's gone. He's gone. He's requesting a trade through the court of public opinion, essentially, at this point. Like, he's gone. He hasn't come out and said, I'm leaving. But he says little things that he knows people are going to write articles about that will say he is leaving. So he doesn't have to say he's leaving. He's very good at working the media that way. And he probably had to get PR trained and all that stuff that they make him do. So the real question is at this point, where does he go? I think that he wants to stay on the East Coast, and if you want to be on the East and you want to play for a contender that makes sense schematically without a team giving up too much. I don't see him playing for the Miami Heat. They would have to trade one of Hero or Adebayo. I don't see him playing for the Heat. I don't really see him playing for the Hawks. Trae Young they've already tried to pair him with so many different players. I just don't see that. Um, Probably not Orlando. Nope. Orlando's already full of oversized dudes who play with the basketball. It's got to be a team that he can touch the rock a lot, right? You know, I don't see him in Detroit for a ton of reasons. Like I don't see Giannis, the human being, in Detroit. But you also might not see Giannis, the human being, in Milwaukee, right? That's Wisconsin. So maybe Detroit. Let's say for the sake of argument, he goes to Detroit. Detroit has a young haul. You can trade all of those young guys to get Giannis. Um, Obviously you don't touch Cade. You don't touch Cade Cunningham. Trade anybody else. Seriously, trade anybody else because the starting blocks being Cade Cunningham, who's played first team All NBA basketball this season, and Giannis Antetokounmpo at the age of 30, 31. Yeah, I want that team. I don't care. I don't care who else plays. We will field a team of whoever if that's who we start with. I think that the Pistons is an exciting team. You have to think about Brad Stevens and the fact that the collective bargaining agreement is going to have the Celtics at a $500 million payroll next season. So even though they could trade for Giannis, I don't even know what that looks like. No one's going to trade for Jason Tatum after what everyone just saw on TV. You give up Jaylen Brown, then from a production standpoint, it doesn't really make sense. From a money standpoint, it makes less sense because Jaylen Brown's the highest paid player in the league right now. So yeah, you get him off the books, but I mean, you have Giannis, and then yeah, the Celtics thing just doesn't make any sense to me. Um, the Knicks doesn't work because Giannis would like to be the face of the team. So the thing is with Cade is that even though you could argue right now that like Cade has the trajectory to be a better player, I think that Giannis would undoubtedly become the face of the Pistons if he went to the Pistons. But you could not make the same argument with him in New York, right? Karl Anthony Towns just came to New York, and Mikal Bridges. They both came to New York basically at the same time. Uh OG and you have all these dudes in New York who are not the face because Jalen Brunson is the face of the Knicks, and did I do it right? Come on now, JB's the face of the Knicks, so he knows that. Giannis knows that. Everybody knows that. I don't think Giannis would just willingly go play for the biggest market team on this coast without being the face of the team. I just don't see that. But it'll be interesting. Let me know in the comments who y'all think Giannis Antetokounmpo should try to go to, and then let me know who you think has a real active case to get him, because it is a win now league, but it's also a copycat league. So whoever wins this championship is incredibly important when you think about molding. Oklahoma City is so good right now, but they're low key a season ahead of where they should be. Hartenstein helped be a catalyst. The maturation of J Dub, that helped be a catalyst as well, right? But they're low key a season ahead of where they should be. Denver, you can't copy what they have. No one else has that. The Celtics, it's not feasible to copy in the long run because I just talked about the payroll. But the Knicks, right? The Knicks the Knicks created an anti-Celtics. So if the Timberwolves win, someone's just going to create an anti-Timberwolves. Like that's their formula is interesting too because Ant-Man is the guy, but he doesn't run the point all the time, right? I think it's super important that teams stop trying to play AAU basketball. Your best player doesn't have to handle the ball just so you can say he's 6'7" and can handle the ball. Like LeBron James is an anomaly, guys. Like that was the whole point. There's one LeBron James. So it doesn't make sense for us to play copycat basketball when other players don't have the ability to play LeBron James basketball at the one. They don't have the ability to make the reads. They don't have the wind to guard the ones. You know, realistically, a guy like Michael Carter Williams, right, in today's NBA would have a difficult time playing a full game against a Tyus or a Trey Jones. And you might think that sounds crazy, but he would have a very tough time. I mean, you fighting screens all day, and then when you're not fighting screens, these dudes are just super quick. They're super quick, you know. Yeah, you have the advantage when you go the other way, but 9 times out of 10, they just switch that screen, you know, because they know you're only going to work half the court. So what's the point? We switch that screen, get out the way. It doesn't matter who the point guard's on at that point because it ain't you, and they don't have the ball, and you're not gonna get them the ball because these guys are not point guards. You know, these guys are not point guards. And it was really cool as the Timberwolves acknowledged that Ant-Man sometimes is the guy, but Michael Conley plays a lot of basketball for them. He runs the offense, you know. Um, Jokic plays point guard sometimes, but Jamal Murray is the point guard. He runs the offense. Christian Braun can play point guard. He runs the offense. Just shifting gears to the West here. The first couple rounds are really interesting to me. I mean, I saw the Lakers get packed up. I didn't think it was going to be in 5 games, but that should have let everybody know the Timberwolves are a serious basketball organization. I was talking about them earlier. You have Ant-Man, you have Conley, and you have a lot of vets, right? Like that. That's another thing. They have a lot of veterans on their team. Conley, super veteran. Julius Randle, super veteran. Um, Nas Reed has emerged into a veteran, right? Like the best 6 man, big man I've seen in a minute. And I think now, he's really just like his own man. You got young buck Jaden McDaniels. People consider him a veteran, but he's probably like year 4 or 5 in the league. But he fly around that court, boy, like he's fearless. He will check anybody. McDaniels does not care. And when you have a backcourt, well, man, not even just a backcourt, but like when you have like a 2 or 3 combo, and it's McDaniels and Ant-Man. I mean, I don't know. You got Dante DiVincenzo. That's a real vet kind of dude. You know, lunch pail guy. DiVincenzo is a real a-hole. You got to understand these dudes who made it to the league, who wasn't supposed to make it to the league, especially now that the league has become a country club sport. These dudes are not to be messed with. Dante DiVincenzo was supposed to go play Premier League soccer, dog. Like up until ninth, 10th grade, he was one of the best soccer players in the country. And then he started hooping because he was just that nice and was like, I want to hoop. And his parents was like, no, you're way better at soccer. And he was like, I'm a hooper. Dude went to Villanova. He broke my heart my senior year of high school. I made the bracket for Michigan. I was gonna pick the victors. We had a good team that year too. And we made it to the chip, running Villanova, and they put in DiVincenzo. He put up a 30 clip. Shout out Derek. I gotta look at my son Derek soon, bro. Derek called that game. I was watching it with Derek, and Derek was like, "Nah, trust like DiVincenzo was good." I'm like, "Nah, like," because I first, he came in the game like, "Bro, who's this redheaded dude?" At the time, he a little skinny, but he just, I mean, he wasn't just catching and shooting. Like he's a basketball player. He get the ball off the bump, 2 dribbles, yam, sidestep to the left, Trey Pound, like pound elbow jumper, bump fade, like, and he played D, he guard. Like DiVincenzo's a such a disrespected piece. And I felt him when he was going back and forth with Rick Brunson talking about that's what happened when they let you run the show. Like, yeah, bro, like you got me up out of there, whatever. But I'm still hoop. DiVincenzo is so good. And you saw what he was doing on the Warriors in a short amount of time. I think that the Warriors really regret not having him because who has DiVincenzo's minutes now in the Warriors? Um, it could be a community game where he's playing like butt, or it could be a pods game where he's playing like butt. Those guys don't protect the ball like DiVincenzo, another guy who played point guard in the past. I think he's like 6'4". And so, and he shoot the heck out of the ball, shoot the piss out of the basketball. Um, Big Jelly, Nas Reed, Rudy Gobert, and that's the other thing. Rudy Gobert has all of these guys who are helping him on the front end, so he can just do what he's good at and just chill out on the back end. And he's starting to get more comfortable on offense. Like he's like he's getting empowered by his teammates. It goes a long way. You go to the park and you got a dude on your team who ain't all that good, but he keep getting the ball. and he make the first shot, and you like, hey, bro, you tough. Every time he gets the ball from that exact spot, he's gonna have different confidence. He's gonna start doing different stuff. He might end up winning you the game, being a matchup killer. He just might. I'm telling you, like that really be happening. I've been that guy, and I've been a team that has that guy on their team. I've been both. You even think about High School Musical 3, my son Rocket Man. I swear to God, the confidence, it makes such a big difference. You instill that confidence in the guy. So Rudy Gobert has a lot more confidence in his offensive game now. Um, I Jimmy Butler's not that guy. They got bounced by the Wolves. Jimmy Butler's not that guy. Steph Curry went down, and you know he's not that guy. He's just not that guy. I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about Jimmy because it's gonna feel like it's a personal vendetta. I've talked about him not being that guy before. They proved me wrong in the regular season, but he's not that guy. He's not. It's over for him. And speaking of, it's over for Steph. It's over for Braun, and it's probably over for KD in the West. Because Cooper Flag is on his way to Dallas. So you have the Mavericks, got Flag, KD, AD, Klay Thompson, and Co. You got the Rockets. You just saw what the Rockets was. They cut some of that fat. They got Cam Whitmore and Reed Shepherd playing for them next season. And I think they have another, they're gonna have another decent pick. You have, I was gonna say the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns have nothing. That's why KD's done. They can get something if they try to trade him, but if I'm KD, I don't know where to go. Yeah, I don't know I have nothing in my head. I don't know where to go from KD. Oklahoma City Thunder's not going nowhere no time soon, and they have so many draft picks. I mean, Steph and Bron are done. Just hang it up. I love y'all boys, man. Stephen Curry was one of my favorite players ever. LeBron is the best player ever. Hang it up, guys. KD, you got one or two more seasons. Because in my opinion, KD is the most reliable out of the three of them right now. KD averaging like 26. And he's very good on defense. Like very good. Them boys is cooked. Them boys is cooked. Song of the day on the 19th episode, we have Ever Ever by Teyana Taylor. Teyana Taylor has been making music forever. And she's been choreographing forever. Never really got the shine she deserved. And I got a couple of Teyana Taylor joints in my library. And that's mostly how I consume music. Not every time I'm listening, but if I'm going to the gym or if I'm just gonna go like do an errand and I'll just put the whole library on shuffle. And anytime one of my Teyana Taylor songs comes on there, I'm pleasantly reminded of how talented she is. I'm like, dang, bro, like she's really good. And so Ever Ever came on the other day. I was like, I gotta give Teyana Taylor the shout out when the time is right. Consider the time right. Perfect timing, Shedeur Sanders. Speaking of Shedeur Sanders, congratulations to Shedeur Sanders for being drafted to the Cleveland Browns. Congratulations to Dylan Gabriel, to Quinshon Judkins, to all them dudes that they drafted, man. Congrats to all of them dudes. Congrats to everybody whose name was called, all the undrafted free agents out there. Just congratulations to everybody across the board. Congratulations to the New York Giants. Even though the methodology behind the Jackson Dart pick was not my favorite, I can't cry over spilled milk. We picked him. So it's time for him to put up or shut up. It's time for the New York Giants to put up or shut up. Let's see what we can do as an organization, as a collective. But I'm really excited about what Jackson Dart can do. You've seen some clips from OTAs and Ricky Minicamp. These guys are starting to get a hold of the playbook. They're starting to get comfortable running drills with these coaches. And it'll be interesting to see, as the pads come on, as teams have joint practices and things of that nature, what these teams start to look like, because there's tons of teams that will look great with t-shirts on, and then they start playing football, especially big boy football, and they can't hack it. There's some teams who the seat couldn't be hotter. I think that the Steelers as a team is on the hot seat. There's so many veterans on the Steelers. They're a veteran-driven football team. You got TJ Watt, Cam Ward. Oh, excuse me, not Cam Ward. Cam Hayward. They're a veteran-led football team. And it's interesting because they don't have an answer at quarterback right now. They have a puppy in Will Howard, and They don't seem to be signing anybody else. They don't seem to be signing Aaron Rodgers. Mike Tomlin seems to be in his last year or two with the organization and just not making any aggressive moves to go anywhere. I mentioned a couple episodes ago how I thought that they might want to draft a running back in the second round because who's going to tote the rock? They just lost Najee Harris. And Najee Harris is going to look good playing for Harbaugh. Trust me. Harbaugh has been salivating trying to get Najee Harris for years. Years. Najee Harris is also going to be splitting a backfield with Omarion Hampton, who is the kind of back that makes life easy for you at all positions. Najee Harris is going to look good next year. And don't be surprised. But Jaylen Warren is going to get a lot of the RB1 carries for the Steelers. And I don't know if I'm doing that, if I'm them. I don't know. I don't know. But they also don't have like I said, they don't have a quarterback. They just traded George Pickens. You sign Metcalf to a $30 million a year deal. I understand that, you have to pay Pickens or compromise with him in some way. In my opinion, give it a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, just give it 1 year so we can see, because the Bengals are not. It's funny because I'm about to talk about the Bengals. The Bengals are not in the best position in the world right now. They're actually in what we like to call cap hell. But what happened right before they got to cap hell? They went to the Super Bowl and they were a couple plays away from winning. And one of the main reasons is because they had two studs at receiver, absolute studs, and getting the ball delivered to them by one of the best arm talent quarterbacks we've seen. That's how I feel about Mr. Burrow. That's why I'm so hard on him, because I think him as a current player is not very good as in comparison to what he should be, and that's why I'm really hard on Joe Burrow. Like right now, I think he's like sixth out of the quarterbacks. Like as far as play, I think he's like about the sixth quarterback, maybe seventh, to be fully honest. But George Pickens is going to the Dallas Cowboys. You have him and CeeDee Lamb. I like that pairing for them. I'm gonna be honest with y'all though. Dak Prescott's throwing the ball to Jake Ferguson. He loved him some Jake Ferguson. And I don't blame him. Jake Ferguson is 2 words: security blanket. He's a big, strong dude. He get that rock and he make a decision and he put his head down and he could jump and he could do it. He could do it all. And he could block. I like Ferguson. I really do. I think he's gonna be a mainstay for a lot of years. There's a lot of great young tight ends coming into the league now. You got the two over in Las Vegas, got Pitts. There's a lot of great tight ends out right now. Bengals is going to be the last thing we talk about here very briefly, just to close it out. It is insane to me that the Cincinnati Bengals currently have their star defensive end, who has led the league in sacks for multiple years, Trey Hendrickson, holding out, and their rookie first-round pick defensive end holding out. This is your starting edge. This is your starting edge. Your starting edge play is holding out. And they're holding out because you guys just flashed your wallet to pay the trio that I just talked about without having a real contingency plan about paying Hendrickson. Now, as far as Stewart and his holding out, that's a little different, It's about like a contract clause and guarantees and non-guarantees. But as far as Hendrickson, it's about the dollar amount. He wants market value and more, because he is the market. What do you mean I lead the league in sacks and I'm not the market? That's the thing. Who's gonna be able to pay these guys? Who's gonna be able to pay Trey Hendrickson? I don't know. I don't think anybody can pay him right now. I don't think anybody can pay him right now. So that might be the Bengals leverage. Like, hey, who's gonna pay you if it's not us? But Hendrickson, I've seen players do stuff like that, and you obviously have like T.O. He did the whole interview in his driveway. Like, there's been guys who've made demonstrations and stuff while they've been holding out. But for him to just come out with the dad fit on, looking all menacing, and just watching practice a little bit, and then give his 2 cents, and then talk about the head coach first and last name, like, I understand. I don't know. To me, it's like that's a part of the NFL that's just so different. And a lot of professional sports too. They talk to the coaches, first last name, like even like LeBron calling JJ Redick JJ. I mean, from time to time he tries to throw in like a coach JJ. But for me, it's always been a respect thing. So even when I got to college, like I call my coach coach. All my coaches is coach when I was in college, And even though some people really would call them like first names, Like, I don't know. I don't know. To me, it is what it is. But the point is, they can't pay these cats, man. So I don't know what they're about to do. But if you guys are a Joe Burr fan, you better hope that he found out what to do fast because I do not think that his arm alone is going to get them there. The guy needs a defense. 19th episode. Thrilled to be back in the AM. Deuces.